continue on with the final breakdown of today's show, or final segment of today's show. Well, I'll be giving my biggest takeaways from Copa America Matchday 1. So I'm really gonna go group by group, give you a little bit of summary of what happened. I'm gonna start off with some Copa America. Few upsets in there. Or not few upsets, but few unique performances in there, and also a few disappointments. So, number one, as far as Group A, Argentina were able to do, take care of their opening game. Canada, they had a few opportunities to, maybe, make this Argentina team, give them a little bit some questions. They weren't really able to capitalize. Argentina were. Good, solid start for Argentina, but Canada did show some promise in this game. But I think the real biggest takeaway for me from this Group A is when I got to watch Peru and Chile play. I thought I saw a game contested by two really poor opponents. I think both of them are nowhere near the levels of what they were when they last reached the World Cups, talking about Peru in 2018 or Chile in 2014 or 2015 Copa America, 2016 Copa America. Those teams that they had in the past, these teams are nowhere near the level of that. You got some of these players that are still part of this setup, that were part of the team. When you look at Vargas from Chile, Sanchez from Chile, Advíncula from Peru. I was surprised to see. I did not know I honestly did not know he was still involved with when I saw Paulo Guerrero, still putting on the jersey for the Peru national team, aged 40. It was really a good sight to see, because I've always been a fan of Guerrero, don't get me wrong, but again, it just shows that these teams, they're still reliant on some of the players from their glory days. They're just not at that level anymore. And I think Canada, looking at the games, Canada are clearly, in my opinion, the best team in this group besides Argentina, and Canada should move on. They'll be taking on Peru technically later today, because we're past midnight. So I think it's very important for them to take care of these teams, because I think Canada should be the team that we see move on besides Argentina. I think the main thing, we knew Argentina was going to win the group, but the main thing was who was second. And from what I saw opening game, I think Canada is clearly the team. And on paper, Canada have the most quality. Group B, interesting developments with Group B. Venezuela was able to upset Ecuador, in my opinion, the best team in this group, Ecuador. A lot to do with that red card. You can't argue with it. Your experienced player, Ener Valencia, comes in with the stamp. Look, it's like the Netherlands stamp on Xavi Alonso in that World Cup final, something of that similar. Interesting to see if Ener Valencia gets more than just the normal game suspension. That can be a big factor in this group. I think Ecuador still has the most quality in this group, in my opinion. The best players, the best team. They play the best football, and I still think they will get out of this group as long as they're able to get Ener Valencia back, because he's a big-time player for them. And in terms of goal scoring, he's important for them. And if they can have him back for the Jamaican-Mexico tie, I still think they're the best team in this group. I don't know if they have enough to win this group, with Mexico getting to win the group. And now Venezuela is actually also a decent team. I have to give respect to them. When they did in Colombia World Cup qualifying up to this point, they've shown pretty good signs. They, their coach was able to make some substitutions that made a difference. Players that provided verticality. They played a little bit more direct, playing with almost 2 9s, like old school kind of formation. And it's good for Venezuela to get the win. Important for them to get the win, because you got to take advantage of opportunities provided for you when a team goes down for 10 men for the majority of the game. And that's what they did. They took advantage of their opportunity. So hats off to Venezuela. And they can be an outfit. Jamaica, I thought they blown their opportunity. They had their chances against Mexico. I don't think Mexico really played amazing. Now they turned it on after Jamaica's offside goal. That was a wake-up call for Mexico to turn it on. And from there on out, I thought Mexico really dominated that game. And from there on out, but I thought Jamaica had their opportunities earlier on. They didn't make Mexico pay. Eventually, Mexico's quality broke through. But I think Mexico can get found out in this group still. I don't think it'll be all smooth sailing. I think think that Mexico-Ecuador game will be very tricky for Mexico. And I think Venezuela can provide a little bit of question marks for Mexico too. Jamaica, it's going to be difficult for them to really get out of this group now, in my opinion, because the fact that they'll be taking on Ecuador in the next game off of this bad loss that Ecuador faced. I think that's a tough situation for Jamaica to be in. I don't think they have enough to get out. And I don't think they'll have enough to get out. So, interesting. I think that the second game is going to tell us a lot within this group. Probably, in my opinion, Group D is probably the most interesting. Group C, Uruguay was able to get the 3-1 win, really dominating the game in terms of performance-wise against Panama, but in terms of goals, it took them until the last, dying moments to start putting on the goals. They were able to win 3-1. I thought Panama played pretty well in the fact that they played to their abilities. Again, they're managed really, really well. A really, really good managed team. We saw when they played against us at the World Cup qualifiers, Panama won't be bad. Uruguay, though, I think they're showing the clear class of this group. And it's really going to come down, in my opinion. I think U.S. will take care of Panama and Uruguay will take on Bolivia. And it really comes down to that final group stage game. And I think it's important for both of these teams to keep in mind that goal differential will be a factor entering that final game. You want to be put in the position, you're the U.S. and Uruguay. You want to put yourself in the position that in that final group stage game, you only need a draw to win the group. And to be in that position, your goal differential has to be higher entering that final game. So, and right now, the Uruguay's is not higher, but it is higher on the second tiebreaker, which is goals scored. So, yeah, I think the U.S., they both need to. U.S. needs to take care of business against Panama, and they need to get the goals. They need to, increase their goal differential. Uruguay will be looking to do the same against Bolivia. I think Bolivia is the worst team in this tournament, so I think Uruguay really has every opportunity to put the pounding on them. But it's clear, U.S. and Uruguay class of this group. Group D, Colombia, really up and down game for them. They were able to win this game 2-1 over Panama, but they didn't really dominate the game like I expected to. They're coming into this game with a lot of hype, a lot of expectation, and deservedly so. They're on a great unbeaten run. They play some very, very good football, some high-intensity football. So, I've respected them. But in terms of performance in this game, I thought Paraguay had a few opportunities despite the limited possession they had, only having 30% possession. They had 12 shots to 11. They outshot the Colombians. They also had same amount of shots on target. Paraguay, they just needed a little bit more quality at the end of the day. Julio Enciso, he's a very, very good player, but Almiron, he didn't show up to the levels of this sort of game, and he's very important for this Paraguayan team. And Colombia, Luis Diaz, then he was decent in certain times. I think James providing 2 assists. Showed vintage James. I thought he was really, really good. Not just the 2 assists, but sometimes in certain games, getting them out of pressure in terms of his ability on possession of the ball, which is, I didn't think he still had it at this sort of level. Clearly, he proved he does. And I think it's a good game to start off their Copa America, but obviously their level needs to improve because I don't know. Well, I don't know if this performance will be good enough to get on top of Brazil, but, Brazil just finished drawing against Costa Rica in a game that they completely dominated. 19 shots to 2, 3 shots on target to 0, 74% possession to 26 for Costa Rica, but did not get the win. Could not find a way to get the ball in the back of the net. Just a lot of possession with no real verticality, no real threat in behind, which is crazy when you're talking about a team with Vinicius, Rodrigo, Rafinha. But yeah, it's just really bad. And Brazil already coming in with pressure, with those comments that came from Ronaldinho, and just in general in terms of the nation, the pressure is only going to grow after this disappointing result. The performance was decent, but 0-0 against Costa Rica, not good enough. Just really bad, really, really poor from Brazil. I can't put into words how poor it is not being able to get the goal. I don't want to center all my criticism around him, but Vinicius Jr., 3 goals and 31 caps. When you see the level of performance that he provides for Real Madrid week game in and game out, how much of the life and soul he is of Real Madrid, and you compare that to what he does for Brazil, 3 goals in 31 games, He's a complete and utter disgrace for the Brazilian national team. The comparisons to Neymar is disgraceful, it's laughable, it's a joke, it's blasphemous, any negative statement I can make towards it is a complete. He's nowhere near. He couldn't lace Neymar's boots. Neymar came in with incredible pressure for Brazil, and not only did he come in with incredible pressure, he lived up despite constantly getting criticized. What he did in that 2014 World Cup before he got injured, 2 years later, leading them to their first Olympic gold medal game. What he did in his early years, with all the pressure that came with being the Brazil's number 10, what he did, and when you compare it to this fraud Vinicius, because that's what he is with the Brazil jersey on. He's a fraud. This Ballon d'Or candidate that he's looked to be at, he's nowhere near that kind of level for Brazil. Nowhere near. And again, just did not show up today. 3 goals in 31 games. Are you serious? 3 goals in 31 games? I've had enough for Vinicius. Again, there's too much possession, not enough verticality within this team, not enough cutting edge, not enough getting in behind, not enough of that Brazilian flair, and overall, lack of quality within this team. If you want to compare it to the likes of the 2002 Brazil teams or anyone beforehand, complete lack of quality within this team compared to those previous teams, and it's just not good enough. And honestly, they put themselves in a dangerous position now, dropping these points, because they're taking on now in their next game. They're taking on Paraguay. That could be a tricky outfit, and they have to win that. They have to win that game. They absolutely have to win that game, and they're lucky. They're absolutely lucky, because if Brazil were playing Colombia in this next game, and they play Paraguay in the final game, I think we would be talking about a potential, good chance that Brazil will get knocked out in the group stages. Because if they take on Colombia in the next game off of this, and they get anything less than a win, and they enter that final game with 2 points, maybe even 1 point, I think the pressures can bear too much for these players. I still think the pressure is going to be a lot against this Paraguay team, and I think that against Paraguay, only with 1 point, I think that's going to be a very tricky game, and so important for Brazil to win that game. I can't put into words. Brazil could be in big trouble at this Copa America. Could be in huge trouble, and it just pains me to say it, because again, y'all know I'm a Brazil fan. That's what I love. I love Jogo Bonito. There's no Jogo in this Bonito. They're not good enough. They are not good enough at this sort of level, and this is not of the likes of some of the classiest Brazil teams. Yeah, we went a little bit overboard there. But thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't